Good morning. As if things in Canada weren't complicated enough, we find there's a group in Vancouver of Sikhs who are allegedly plotting some separatist plan for the state of the Punjab to be called Khalistan. What I want to know from you is, how can you involve Canada in this fight?
But he is not a religious man, and that's the problem. He's moderate. He should keep out of the temples.
No, not a religious man by your standards, but maybe by somebody else's standards. You are not God. Is he God?
I just hope that Sikh Youth Federation and other people associated with them stop playing God, and they've been playing God for my community for some time.
If I had to talk about Christianity, I better be a Christian. If I am not, I should keep out of it. And if I still talk, I am looking for a trouble.
Do you believe that our immigration laws have been perverted in some cases?
I think they are being perverted right now.
We in the news business tend, of course, for simplicity's sake, to sensationalize things. Now, Mohinder Paul Singh is in some way connected with this plan to use Canada as a base to achieve separatism for the Punjab. True or false?
I don't think so. The real point is, Sikhs everywhere around the globe, wherever they are sympathizers to their brothers who are launching a struggle in India, specifically in Punjab, a state in northern India, which is the homeland. The struggle is for just to seek for their identity, their separate existence within Indian Union. The problem is there.
As I understand it, after the British left in the middle 40s, there was a plan that Punjab would have self-determination. And between them, between Pakistan and India, Punjab was denied self-determination.
The picture contrary to it. On that fateful night, 15 August 1947, when British authorities, especially out Mountbatten, they were just going to transact political power to Indian leaders.
Right.
At that moment, 3 communities or different nations living on Indian subcontinent, they were considered legitimate heirs to Indian political power.
Legitimate heirs of the 3 communities.
Yeah.
We'll concede that you have a cause for a separate Punjab called Khalistan. Let me concede that.
Yeah.
Because your complicated story of the history will be lost on me and my viewers.
Yes, but I'm enforced to.
No,
I have my limitations.
No, you have no limitations.
When I have to just give my views on the present situation, I must look back, in the backdrop.
I know, but best if I ask you simple questions. Do you approve of military training for dissident Sikhs in Canada to fight a battle in India?
It again goes to the past.
Yes or no?
Because militant resistance and militant means to achieve justice are part and parcel of Sikh doctrine.
You mean you fight?
Elaborated by 10th Master.
You are a warlike race.
We are militant. I think Sikh is the best soldier of the world, as the history goes.
The British would tell you the same thing. The Sikhs were their best soldier. And the Gurkhas.
And a Sikh naturally militant.
But just
by
a moment.
birth he is fighter.
Are you entitled to do that kind of preparation for fighting from a country of Canada, which has peaceful relations with India?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
You approve of it? Yes. Tell me yes.
Not exactly, no comments at the moment.
Oh, no comment?
No comment.
Just a glint in your eye. A warlike Sikh glint in your eye, but no comment.
I just hope for the best in future. Circumstances take their own turn.
But would you not expect the Canadian authorities, pushed by the Indian diplomats, to crack down on your so-called consulate general and close it? Would you not expect that?
We could expect.
How can anybody set up a so-called consulate for the Republic of Khalistan when India is a diplomatic friend of Canada?
A Commonwealth member too.
And Commonwealth. And we have friendly relations with India. And here are these people who want the state of Khalistan doing their best to rupture relations between Canada and India.
Those 3 here, they were to be treated as equal brothers by the outgoing British authorities.
But they weren't.
They weren't. Why they weren't? the nucleus, root cause of the problem goes to that event. I'm going to elaborate.
No, not forever you're not going to elaborate. The root cause of the problem now is that the Sikhs did not get self-determination.
Why didn't they get? Why didn't Hindu leaders entrapped Sikh leaders to side with them to accelerate the freedom process?
But the fact remains that now we have a situation whereby many Sikhs throughout the world want to see what they thought there was that promise now kept.
Yes.
They want to see the Punjab become the state of Khalistan.
Yes.
Are you one of the extremists?
Maybe in between.
Tell me, are you a Canadian citizen living in this country?
No, I'm just a visitor, a missionary.
Are you a legal visitor to
No,
this country?
legal visitor.
You are a legal
visitor.
Do you plan to stay?
If circumstances permit me.
Are you upset by the fact that the Canadian government, under pressure from the Indian government, has said, hey, no more visitors without visa. Too many are claiming refugee status.
The situation is...
Does that upset you?
It upsets me. I am in hot waters. Outside India, out of sympathy, being a member of the same community, it's their natural right to sympathize with them or not.
Just a minute. Right now, your consuls for Khalistan are issuing so-called passports, so-called currency, setting up the appearance of a separate state here. We can't tolerate this, can we?
Because the situation is when some movement is launched, it has to be launched for so many corners.
So you're going to launch
it? It's a strategy,
so
maybe.
You're going to launch it here? You're going to launch it here?
I am not in picture. I'm not well acquainted with what the developments are going on.
How many Sikhs are there in Canada? 60,000?
About 60,000 in Lower Mainland. No, in all of Canada, more than 1 lakh, more than 1/10 million. In whole of Canada.
A lakh.
More than a lakh, 1/10 million, more than.
100,000.
100,000.
Yeah.
A lakh in Indian term.
A lakh?
Yeah.
A lakh of rupees.
Lakh of rupees.
Okay, 100,000. Are they all militant? No.
No.
How many have become Canadianized? How many have become eaten away by the soft life in Canada?
Well, there are basically two factions, if you want to term them factions. One is a group of people, unorganized, a large majority of us, who simply say we want to have nothing to do with the problems in India. Indians are well equipped to settle those problems, Sikhs or Hindus or Muslims, but our problems in BC and in Canada take precedence over problems in India, and we don't want to interfere in affairs outside of this country.
The greatest proportion of these people are peace-loving, temperate, quiet individuals who want nothing to do with the troubles in Punjab.
They're just ordinary Canadians, Jack.
Well, I'll ask you first, why has there been trouble?
Well, we have a group of people, and which has organized itself into 3 or 4 different organizations, who are bent upon creating problems on the basis of their desire to separate Punjab from India on a religious division. And what we say to them is that they are welcome to have their views, but they should behave peacefully here, and they should not utilize the resources of this community or the temples of this community to cause unrest in India or here.
Now, here is Manmohan Singh, the International Sikh Youth Federation. I presume that you endorse these moderate views of Mr. Dosanjh.
Jack, I definitely endorse the peace and the harmony in the community, and there should be no violence, and there should be no provocation.
You're against all violence?
Absolutely against it. And this is happening since the attack of Golden Temple. We are facing a very bad situation here, not because of the trouble in Punjab, but the people here with selfish motive, trying to get popularity in the political field and with the government of India, stirring up and giving provocating statements in the news media and causing tension and hatred in the community.
All right, let me see if I can understand you. We're all aware of what happened at Amritsar, where the Indian government sent in a military force to clean out the sacred place of the Sikhs. Am I correct in that?
That's exactly what
That's exactly what happened. Now, that happened in India. How does that reflect itself here? I mean, who wants to fight the battles of Amritsar here?
It's not a question of fighting Battle of Amritsar here, but it's a matter of religious matter. Because Indian government desecrated the Sikh temple, the holy shrine, and not only Golden Temple, but 40 other Sikh shrines same time, And other thing which they did, they barred the whole media of the world to go into the Punjab when the operation was taking place.
I saw some of that on television.
Not when the operation was there.
Okay, they were agreed that was done, but how does that affect life here if everyone is moderate and nobody wants violence?
It's because it's a matter of religion. It's a matter of faith in God. And the house of God of Sikhism has been destroyed and desecrated. And every Sikh anywhere in the world is upset and concerned about the desecration. And they want the honor back which have been taken by the Indian government.
In other words, what you're telling me, now correct me if I'm wrong, because I am a moderate person in all things, you're saying that Sikhs outside of India
Yes, sir.
must fight for the Republic of Khalistan.
Because we have left.
Is that right?
That's right.
Now, okay, stop there.
Well, that's exactly where we part company. What I say to them is they can have their views on Khalistan, but they should not be spreading violence, terror, and hatred in the communities here, because our first issues are that concern us in Canada.
Now, we understand that quite clearly. Are you in favor of the establishment of the Khalistani Republic?
No, I'm not.
You're
That's none of my business. I'm a Canadian citizen.
You're in favor of the Indian government looking after the affairs of India?
And the people of Punjab looking after the affairs of Punjab in India.
Now, you part company on that issue, don't you?
No, I don't, because with the Indian government, for 40 years we put up with the Indian government after the independence. And we did everything to make India great in every way. But they always interfere in our religion, in our politics, and brought to a point they attacked our holiest shrine. And that's the climax of it. And the Sikh nation don't want to live under the rule of Hindu domination after that incident.
The Sikh nation in India.
That's what it is.
If you are obviously a Sikh here in British Columbia. Are you living under the domination of the Indian government or the desecration of the temple?
Jack, we stand behind every Sikh which is in Punjab, now in bondage under the government of Indian rule and the military there.
Fair enough, but why should this cause violence here?
There's no violence here. It's just being portrayed by some people for their personal advantages. And the last 1 year, you tell me one instant a man has been charged, arrested, or have been condemned by the court for any violence. It's just a very unimportant thing, like somebody's slip up from in the market or get some hurt somewhere. It's always blame on the Sikhs for no logic, for no
not
proof.
blamed on the Sikhs, it's blamed on the Sikh fanatics, isn't it?
Because it's not there. It's just a cook-up story. Some people are
In other words, nobody has been arrested, nobody has been charged for assault. People who fall down and get injured blame it on the Sikh fanatics.
That's the problem here.
Is that your view?
Well, my view is that what Mr. Manmohan Singh is saying simply that if crimes are committed and nobody's caught and convicted, then the crimes don't happen. Now that's a nonsense view as far as I'm concerned. People in the community have been victimized. In the last month or so, 3 or 4 assaults have taken place. They've been covered by the press largely, and we're all aware. And anyone who has opposed the violence and the terror in the community, these guys are welcome to have their views. All we're saying to them is, leave the places of worship alone here. Leave ordinary people living in Canada as they have been for the past 70 to 80 years that we have been in this country. Please don't disturb our lives. If they want Khalistan, they can go back and fight for it.
Seems reasonable.
Jack, I tell you, the words can hurt more than the punches and blow. And the amount of damage Mr. Ujjal Dosanjh has done to our community in Vancouver and in the Sikh temple have been right from the attack of Golden Temple. And the provocation is called as, look at the statement we made from the temples of our temples and the society signed here. I underlined that what kind of remarks he gave about our leader and the Sikh in Vancouver, who has totally peaceful, nothing to do with any violence. And this is a provocation which is causing us. And then he brings the thing because he's very professional to.
What are these? Are these extracts from quotes on various radio stations and television stations? And you were complaining about certain people being allowed into Canada, whom you called goons.
That's right. We don't know the 8 people who came and sought training in British Columbia. We don't know whether they're a Canadian citizen or landed immigrants or people from the States.
This is remarks
Where are they from?
Of a linked newspaper which is published by a Hindu gentleman, Pramod Puri, about these moderates, what they're doing in the community. And I brought that headlines just to show his personal comment.
Why would you tell me what somebody says in a newspaper in the Punjab? Is this in the Punjab?
No, it's in Vancouver. It's right in Vancouver. It's a local newspaper of a leading community newspaper.
All right, just let me get something clear now. We're going to talk, I see in my research here, which may or may not be right, that they, whoever they are, now control, there's a fight to gain control of 1, 2, 3, 4, half a dozen temples. I want you to explain the importance of temple control to me after the break.
See,
why are the temples so important? Why is there a struggle for political factions, for your political faction to control all the temples in British Columbia?
that's a very interesting question.
But what's the answer to it?
The answer I'm going to give you, a substantial answer and real answer. Before the attack of Golden Temple, these temples in Vancouver were used as a political purposes, and the religion was left behind in every way. People could go into the temple in front of our holy Granth bareheaded, which is totally prohibited. They can go under the influence of liquor, nobody check them. They can get marriage done the style they want in the temple.
You feel that those, quote, moderates were breaching all the tenets of your very strict belief in your faith? Okay, well, that's one thing. Now,
well, Jack, let me say, this is exactly what Ayatollah Khomeini has been saying in Iran. I mean, people here have lived over 100 years. Traditions change, people change. Those people who built these temples were as religious as anyone else. Maybe they didn't wear turbans. The issue is not whether you are more religious or less religious. The issue is whether you are using a religious cloak to create violence and fear in the community.
And what do you say to that?
And I say that International Sikh Youth Federation and other organizations that have links with them have created fear in the community where nobody's willing to come and talk to you openly as I'm doing. There are very few people who would stand up because they're afraid. And that's the issue. What we're saying is that the community at large, the Indo-Canadian community, majority of the Sikhs are being suffocated and their freedom of speech is stifled. In fact, their freedom to move around freely is being stifled because they have to watch their back all the time.
But what, you mean what's the back physically?
Physically. There have been 3 or 4 attacks in the last week, in the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Now, how do you get control of a temple to change the way it operates?
Well, I'm not interested in the control on temples. But let me tell you what it means to control temples for these people because they're seeking control of the temples. What it means for them is that they'd be able to utilize the resources of the community. There's lots of money at the temples. The temples have a lot of people who simply go there and pray, donate money. They may have nothing to do with Khalistan, but how that money is used, whether or not it's accounted for, depends on those who control the temple.
All right, how many of these temples are under the control of people whom you would call fanatics?
Well, so far, majority of the temples have been under the management of moderates. There has been one recent example of Surrey last week, reaching an accord with the militants or the fanatics for fear of violence. They simply said, we give up. We're fed up and we're tired of having to face physical fear every day, and we're not going to run. Had they run in the elections, they would have won. But they couldn't find 11 moderate people to stand up and face that violence every day.
Isn't that horrible for him to say that? Is he telling me the facts? He says that in the temple in Surrey, where the vast moderate majority could have kept control of the temple and its money and its services, they could not find 11 people to stand because they were afraid.
He is trying to prove the law and order of the country have been taken over by the Sikhs or the International Sikh Youth Federation in Vancouver. It's a silly remarks. The police can control anything happen here illegal.
Who?
The police, the RCMP.
Not within an ethnic community so easily. It's very difficult in an ethnic community. Let's be quite honest about this.
But I tell you, the amount of police is involved into the activities of temple is unbearable, and they know who is the trouble creator and who's causing trouble, and that's why none of the Sikh have been charged so far in any of these violence, so-called violence, because there is no violence. It's just pushing and shoving. When the people get excited, they talk wrong at a wrong place. In temples, the religion is the priority, not a politics. But these moderates have kept the politics priority in the religion.
Is there an atmosphere of fear created by zealots? I would regard you as a zealot. You're a very dedicated Sikh, and the whole center of your existence is the injustice done to your faith in Amritsar. That to you is the most important thing in the world. I'm not criticizing you.
Thank you.
But that is correct, is it not?
That's 100% correct.
100% correct. So the entire efforts of the Sikh Federation are to use monies and propaganda to fight the battle in India.
Not that. That's a wrong concept. The idea is to make the religious pure of the fiction of a Hindu influence into our religion, which has creeped into it, and people could walk into the temple bareheaded. We want to stop it. And that's where the trouble
Back to the old religion.
No, it's a basic of any religion. There's some fundamental in any church.
You're
anything.
a fundamentalist.
We got to have some fundamental to start with it and some principles.
Mr. Manmohan Singh says that he wants to keep temples as religious places. In the paper yesterday, he is quoted as saying that they're going to now use all the temples to create a state of Khalistan in India. If that's not politics, I don't know what that is. And secondly, he says that they want to purify the temples. Well, that's exactly what Ayatollah Khomeini is doing to Iran. And I resent that kind of nonsense for the entire community.
What is happening here, Mr. Ujjal Dosanjh stir up any news come, here's a highlight of that one, sir.
Oh, yes.
He stir up anything which happened in the religion or in Sikh faith. He gave a counter statement and provocating statement and put the whole community in two groups.
And the accord was forced on the Surrey temple members. Gosh, he is moderate, isn't he?
But if he's a moderate,
There are many shades of Christians. There are many people who call themselves Christians with whom I would not be seen dead.
but in our case, it's not. We have a 10th Guru who gave the final codes of the Sikh religion, and
You
that's
see, what I'm afraid of here is double talk, to be quite honest, you know. You are an Indo-Canadian.
That's what I am.
You also happen to be a Sikh.
I was born and raised in a Sikh family.
But he's no more a Sikh.
With honorable traditions.
He is no more a Sikh.
By your standards.
Not my standard, by his own standard.
Let's get back to Khalistan now, and we'll take some telephone calls too after the break. Well, the problem is quite obvious. Are you a fanatic? Yes.
And fundamentals, not fanatics. You know.
Well, you're a fundamentalist.
That's it.
Very firm views. Do you approve of violence in any way, shape, or form?
Not
in
at
this
all.
country?
Absolutely not.
In India, yes.
I don't. That violence is promoted and established by the government of India, not by us. If they can kill our innocent families in front of the army and military, who are the terrorists and who are the people who are causing violence? Let's find out first.
Do you realize what the other Canadians say about violence in the Sikh community, including myself? If you want to fight for the freedom of Ireland, or Iran, or the Punjab, go there and fight. Don't fight here. Would you agree with me on that?
100%, sir.
100%. You agree with me 100% now. You obviously agree with me 100%.
I've been saying that all along.
How bad is the violence in the community? I've been footing around this morning. You were beaten up once.
I was beaten up in
Why
February.
was nobody charged?
Someone has been charged, and he's standing trial in the middle of this month.
We'll leave
We
that
won't
alone.
talk about that.
Because you had said if nobody's charged, there is no violence.
Nobody's proved guilty anything since 1 year.
But there can be violence without proof. You and I both know that.
Well, it could happen maybe on some personal grounds and personal reasons, not on because of
All
religious
right.
reason.
The International Sikh Youth Federation, fundamentalist. The World Sikh Organization, is it fundamentalist?
Is fundamentalist.
The Baba Khalsa, is that here?
That's an organization that's here only in name. That's an organization
out.
that's generally in India.
The Dashmesh Regiment, what is that?
It's not. It's just using name somebody. It's not there.
That's something that cropped up around June and July of 1984. We don't hear of it anymore, unless it's convenient to the people who are promoting this kind of.
And what is the name of the moderate organization?
There is no moderate organization. That's the problem. The moderates do not want to organize as a faction to oppose these people. What we're simply saying is we don't want them. We're speaking out. People are afraid to come out and say things.
Well, I'm delicate about these calls, but I'll try the calls. Go ahead, please, to both of my guests, Ujjal Dosanjh and Manmohan Singh.
Good morning, Jack.
Morning.
How are you today?
Yeah. Go on.
Okay, just a couple of things here. First, religion. We never have any trouble with the Catholics, the Protestants, the churches that have been here. We don't have the fighting. Why do these people want to fight? Why don't they just go to their church and go home and be done?
Well, we've been trying to explain that to you, and there is a struggle for control of the temples, and Mr. Dosanjh says that the moderates are afraid to put up candidates, at least in the Surrey temple.
And one other thing, Jack, the thing as far as I'm concerned is everybody says, well, according to the Canadian people, let's be very honest. If the Canadian people weren't so afraid to say things like they are, and they always are, if there was a vote tomorrow, the boats would be packed. Let me tell you that.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Jack.
Yes.
We're talking about this accord that was signed in the Surrey Temple there.
I'm sorry?
We're talking about the accord that was signed in the Surrey Temple here.
Yes.
Well, there's one real problem with why you're missing why the accord was really signed here. In the present case, in court in Surrey, you have to be residing in Surrey to vote in that temple, right? And at the moment, it's a court case. The people that signed the accord had registered voters from outside Surrey. So the Sikh Youth Federation took them to court, and they were going to lose the court, and they were going to lose all control of the temple.
Okay, hold on now. Have you taken someone to court in that case?
Not to my knowledge.
You say they have taken someone to court in that case?
There's a court case pending in Surrey that basically dwells on the fact that you have to be a member in Surrey, and the votes were illegally registered.
Do you know of that, Dosanjh?
I don't know.
I have some idea.
Okay, because of that fact, as that court case was to be decided, the basic, what you're calling fundamental people, would have been taken a complete majority vote. And in that case, that is why the accord was signed.
Okay.
And I got one other point, if you're finished with that.
Do we understand that point, Dosanjh?
I understand. Whether or not the accord was signed as a result of the court battles is unclear. There are court battles relating to almost every temple. What I'm saying, however, is that even if they were in a minority, they would have stood up if they had no fear of violence. And it's not a question of whether it's illegal or legal. It's a question of whether or not you're afraid. That's the issue today.
How do you vote at these temples? By show of...
Secret ballot most of the time.
Secret ballot.
Yes.
Well, isn't a secret ballot a guarantee enough of no violence?
Jack, in the past, people have attended to vote at elections and they've been threatened.
It's false.
That's false.
It's false, okay.
It's false allegation.
False allegation, he says, you don't. Go ahead, please.
Yes, I would just like to make the comment that I do agree with Mr. Dosanjh in that the violence should be left in India, that Canada is a peaceful nation, and most people I know agree that the politics of India should be left in India, and if they want their beliefs here, that's fine, but not violence.
Are you an Indo-Canadian?
No, I'm not. I'm Canadian citizen, born here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Bye. I don't like this term Indo-Canadian. What is it really?
Well, it's Indians of Canadians of Indian origin.
Canadian, like you?
Yes.
You were born in this country.
No, I was born in India.
You were born in India.
He become too Canadianized after coming here, you know. Forget about the religion, everything, and just political power is only his objectives. That's what he's fighting for.
Well, Jack, he's suggesting that I'm in this for a popularity contest, which is nonsense.
Not if you're going to get beaten up.
That's right.
Unless you want to be a martyr.
That's right. I don't know what kind of logic he uses.
I don't know what he has in mind, but this is all what is happening. That the things are being stirred up and brought to an angle which is not reality, which is not truth. And always the media and everything being confused, and things are being cleared by many of our leaders and the news media, our community news media. But so far, we are not having any success.
Well, I understand your picture very well. You are an Indo-Canadian. You are a fundamentalist. You believe that anyone who does not wear the turban or follow the old religion as practiced in the Punjab is a backslider and not worthy of controlling temples.
That's right.
That's right.
And that embraces about 95% of the people in the Sikh religion.
Let's try that one on them. So therefore, 90% of the Sikhs in British Columbia are not good Sikhs, sir.
They are, but what we are saying is the control of the temple should be in the hand who are the pure Sikhs, not the people who do not believe and practice the Sikh religion should be control of the temple, because then the temple is desecrated and other fictions come into the temple.
If he goes to a temple, does he desecrate it?
If he come in the temple as executive committee member or decision maker, then the trouble will be there.
He should be banned.
He should be banned for participating in the management of the temple. But to enter a temple, perform his worship, it's okay. He's welcome. Anybody is welcome.
But not allowed to run it because he doesn't have the true faith.
He doesn't have true faith. He doesn't believe in the true faith.
That disqualifies 95% of my people.
More after the break.